So you have just finished the story mode of Red Dead Redemption 2 and you want to try out online, but one look at the ability cards and role system convince you that it is the most confusing thing Rockstar has ever created. Well, don't worry, because today I'll give you all of the knowledge you need to succeed in the Wild West world of Red Dead Online. In this beginner's guide, I'll talk about the combat mechanics, exploration, how to earn money and gold, and which content you should prioritize. Everything is neatly organized into separate sections here, so you can skip ahead and take a look at whatever interests you, but if you've never played Red Dead Online before, I highly recommend you watch this guide from start to finish because there are some important things that you need to set up before you get into story missions or PvP. The first thing you need to do is create a character. Pay attention to this part because once you choose your character's gender, it's irreversible. Your appearance can be changed later, so don't try and get it absolutely perfect from the start. However, it should be noted that while the first appearance change is free, subsequent attempts will cost you 10 gold bars. Now, once you've customized your appearance, the game will ask you to invest in stat points into one of three attributes: health, stamina, and Deadeye. If you like to fish and use bows, go with health. If you can reliably land headshots with a gun, take Deadeye. Stamina isn't something you really need to bother with right now. You'll be able to increase it just by running and swimming later on. Alright, at this point the game will take you through the tutorial, which lasts about 40 to 50 minutes, and it acts as a prologue for the story missions. Do not skip the tutorial, even if you've finished single player. The combat is balanced very differently in online, and weapons feel a lot faster. Deadeye also works differently, but I'll dive into it in more depth in the combat section of this video. For now, just understand that the tutorial is a great way to familiarize yourself with Red Dead Online's combat loop. It also gives you a starter horse, a pair of weapons, a treasure map, and introduces some important NPCs. Upon completing the tutorial, you're thrown into the massive open world of Red Dead Online. The kid's gloves are off, and you're free to do whatever you want. But before you walk out there and get killed in PvP by some guy who's 50 levels above you, I suggest you tweak your settings for the best gameplay experience. If you're on console, open up your pause menu and go into settings. From there, select controls and make sure invert look is off, unless you're an old school console gamer who grew up with games like GoldenEye and Halo Combat Evolved. Next up is vibration. I like to keep this setting turned off because it helps me with precision aiming, especially in free aim settings, and of course when I'm lining up those headshots. I do the same thing in games like Battlefield and Call of Duty whenever I'm using a controller. The downside to having vibration turned off is you won't get any feedback from the game while searching for treasures and collectibles. Of course, this won't really be an issue later once you've got all the spawn points memorized, but if you're a newcomer, you might find it more beneficial to leave vibration turned on. Red Dead Online also has something called lock-on mode, which is basically auto-aim, and it will snap onto an enemy who's within your field of view if you have it turned on. With this feature enabled, you don't need to be super accurate because the game will do the aiming for you, and you might even want to leave vibration turned on if you have lock-on mode enabled. Personally, I like to use free aim because that way the gunfights feel more rewarding, and I like the satisfaction of knowing that my shots count for something. Free aim also gives you 20 XP bonus on each kill, which is the main reason you might want to keep it turned off if you're a new player. With free aim enabled, you'll be able to level up a lot faster. If you don't feel confident in your shooting skills though, you can just enable lock-on and auto-aim. Wide aim settings mean the gun will snap onto an enemy that's on your screen. Normal covers about a third of your screen, and then narrow only works on enemies that are basically right in front of you in your FOV. Next up, we have aim assist. I like to keep this setting on because I'm playing on controller and it works really well in combination with free aim. What aim assist does is it slows down your reticle ever so slightly as it approaches an enemy, and so you get a little bit of extra time to flick up and line up those headshots. This isn't the same as auto aim because you still have to put in the effort to aim at whatever it is you're trying to hit, and my aim assist is set to maximum both on foot and on horseback. For third person controls, you want to set it to standard FPS. What this does is switch the controls for crouching and running, so now you can run with L3 and press X or A to crouch. Scroll down and make sure running mode is set to toggle though, because you don't want to hold down your left thumbstick the entire time. All you need to do is press L3 once and you'll start jogging, and if you press it a second time, you'll start sprinting. Another thing you should change is the default third-person camera from camera relative to horse relative. This way, you can look around freely without changing the direction of your horse. I also recommend you set all of these three: look sensitivity, aim sensitivity, and aim acceleration to max. Tap assist should be set to hold. That's going to make it easier for you to escape lassos and chokes. And that should all be the important stuff right there. I can't go through every single setting and control option in this video, but I've already made a video on the best settings to use in Red Dead Online for both PC and console players, so if you're interested, feel free to check out that video if you want to know more about the settings I use and also why I use them. If you haven't set up two-factor authentication for your Rockstar Social Club account, do it right now because there's a promotional offer in which Rockstar gives you 10 gold bars and $500 just for setting up 2FA. It usually takes a day or two to get processed on Rockstar's end before the rewards are credited into your account, but it's extremely helpful if you're just starting out. As you're watching this video, you probably finished the single player campaign and feel like you can walk into Red Dead Online's PvP and own some noobs. But you're gravely mistaken, because Red Dead Online's combat is much faster and more dynamic than the single player. Deadeye doesn't slow down time in the online, and you'll also get wrecked in about 5 seconds by a veteran player who has significantly better weapons and higher character stats than you. This is why I recommend beginners to stick to story missions and PvE content for their first few days. By the time you've finished all the free roam events and story missions, you should have good enough weapons and good enough stats to not immediately die the first time you come across another player. My first tip here is to press down on your controller's D-pad and switch the radar view minimap from standard to expanded for better situational awareness because the minimap will be larger. Once that's done, take a look at the 3 circles above your minimap. Those are your health, stamina, and deadeye. The outer bar is how much of each stat you have, and inside is your core for that stat, which determines how quickly it refills. Once your bar goes empty, you begin to deplete your core. The easiest way to level up your health bar is by killing enemies with a bow, which you can get once you hit level 10. Fishing is also a great way to gain health as well, and you can buy your first fishing rod at level 14. If you do a lot of fishing, go into your settings and turn on hold to reel. Stamina levels up whenever you run or swim, so just play the game and that stat will max out in no time. And then Deadeye is going to be a little bit more tricky to level up because you must score headshots on enemies. You also get Deadeye XP for skinning animals as well. I don't know why, but that's how it works, so you can also go hunting and skin animals to level up your Deadeye. Now before getting into PvP, all 3 of your stats, health, stamina, and Deadeye should be maxed out. Clean your guns before every major fight and always aim for the head when possible. Stock up on tonics and food items to keep your cores full, and learn how to dive. Diving will break your opponent's auto lock in the middle of an engagement and give you a tiny window to return fire. If your stamina or Deadeye core is in the red, it's going to negatively affect your weapon's accuracy. Your weapon is going to sway more than it usually does, and your shots won't be as accurate as well. Aiming through a scope gives you perfect accuracy, and your weapon's lethal headshot range is increased as well. And in a melee fight, if you get tackled or choked, you need to hold circle or the B button if you're on Xbox. This is why I told you to turn on tap assist earlier. In a tackle fight, the player with the most stamina is always going to win here. At the start, you'll only have your Cattleman revolver and the carbine repeater. As you gain more money from story missions, you can start adding new weapons to your arsenal, and I recommend these 3: the Lancaster repeater, the bolt action or the Springfield rifle, as well as the pump action shotgun. If you want a good mid-range weapon that shoots fast and is very accurate, get the Lancaster repeater. It deals great damage and it excels both in PvE as well as PvP content. If you want a versatile tool for hunting and engaging solo targets, get the bolt action or the Springfield rifle. Both are great. They don't have the speed or capacity of the Lancaster, but they both deal more damage and they both have higher accuracy, which is great for getting headshots on larger animals. The pump action shotgun can drop targets in one hit, and it's absolutely brutal at close range. It's also the most accurate shotgun in terms of bloom accuracy in the game, and once you unlock explosive slugs, you can do some insane amounts of damage with every shot. If you have the extra cash laying around, I'd also recommend to purchase a better sidearm to replace your Cattleman revolver, but in the beginning, definitely prioritize long guns over handguns as they're going to be your primary source of damage. Increasing your character's weight in Red Dead Online can make you more tanky. If you're overweight, you gain 10% of your total health pool in exchange for having 10% less stamina. If you're underweight, you gain 10% in stamina, but you lose that 10% of your max health. And gameplay tests also show that you can take an extra Lancaster repeater bullet before dying if you have the HP bonus from being overweight. So how do you become overweight? Well, it's pretty simple here. You can eat minty big game or seasoned prime beef and trigger a loading screen by fast traveling or loading into a new session in online. Then repeat this process a few more times until you're overweight. It usually takes about 5 attempts. If you've got the naturalist roll, you can also buy weight gain tonics from Harriet. The regular weight gain tonic will cost you $75 and the potent weight gain tonic costs you $150. In Red Dead Online, you activate Deadeye to use active abilities that are tied to your Deadeye card. You have a total of 4 card slots in this game, with 1 reserved for your Deadeye ability and the other 3 being passive slots. Passive ability cards grant their bonuses at all times, and you unlock them at levels 10, 20, and 40. Personally, I feel the ideal loadout for a beginner is going to be Painted Black, Strange Medicine, Eye for an Eye, and Cold Blooded. Painted Black is the best Deadeye ability for beginners because it's the closest to how Deadeye works in the story mode. You go into Deadeye, you move your reticle over a target, and the game will automatically paint an X mark over them. You can even put multiple X marks on a single enemy if you choose, or you can choose to distribute them across multiple targets. Once you run out of Deadeye or decide to shoot, your character will start firing automatically at each of those targeted spots. Experienced users use Painted Black to improve their accuracy by turning on Deadeye to line up their shots and firing before any X's are placed. This is also a fast and efficient way to land guaranteed headshots as well. Moving on to the passive ability slot, Strange Medicine is really good in PvE because you regain a small amount of health every time you deal damage to an enemy. You get even more health if you land a headshot. Eye for an Eye is also a really good ability card in PvE too because it replenishes a chunk of your Deadeye bar as soon as you land a headshot, and if you use this in combination with Strange Medicine, you'll be able to sustain both your health and Deadeye without using any consumables like tonics, for example. Finally, we've got Cold Blooded, which provides health regen over time if you kill an enemy. It lasts for 5 seconds and it complements Strange Medicine excellently, making sure you never run low on health during a firefight. If you want to learn more about various ability cards in Red Dead Online, I made several videos covering all the best types of loadouts and why I use them. To give yourself the advantage in firefights, use some exotic ammo in this game. Now this holds true in both PvE as well as PvP. Express explosive ammo is the most powerful ammo you can get, but you'll need to be level 90 and pay $1,000 to buy that pamphlet from a fence. If you're a new player, just stick to regular until you get to level 31, at which point you'll unlock express ammo. At level 41, you'll unlock high velocity ammo. Express does more damage, but high velocity is going to be better for long range shooting and punching through barriers. The dynamite arrows are also exceptionally good at cleaning out entire groups of enemies, and they also leave a bloody mess whenever you shoot it. Split point, I would say, is mostly useless. It should only be used for gaining special ammo XP in the early game when you need to level up fast. It provides no real damage upgrade over regular ammo or accuracy upgrade despite the game telling you to. Multiple tests have shown that this ammo is just completely broken and Rockstar has never fixed it. Health, stamina, and Deadeye can also be regenerated by consuming various foods and tonics. If you fortify your cores, you'll have a higher base HP, stamina, and Deadeye. In addition to increasing your base stats, fortification also boosts regeneration rates so your bars will fill up faster. You can craft various food items and tonics to replenish your cores. The most efficient food item you can make is Minty Big Game because it's going to fully restore all of your cores, and it's just the best, most abundant food option you can get from Big Game. For example, you can acquire big game meat by hunting alligators in the bayou. For this, I just headshot them with any gun, but you can also use improved arrows so you get the perfect skin from those gators. If you have a spare $650, definitely buy the stew pot from Crips. With this, you can make superior stew that will boost your core for the entire day, and with Crips' special stew recipes, you can make an even better stew that will boost your cores for 3 in-game days. The stew pot is unlocked once you reach level 5 in the trader role, but we'll talk about that role later. Red Dead Online is all about making money and buying the best gear, so it's important to understand the payout structure if you'd like to be efficient with your time. If you're a beginner to this game, do not skip the daily challenges as they give you a really decent chunk of gold for completing fairly trivial tasks. Daily challenges are a consistent and reliable way to earn gold in this game. There's also a streak-based multiplier to the daily challenges that will reward players who do at least one challenge every consecutive day. The Land of Opportunity story missions are a fun way to earn gold while experiencing a nice story with memorable characters, and depending on your honor level, you can also get different story missions and outcomes. You also get a first time bonus, so you should definitely finish all the story missions before moving on to other types of content. Alright, now let's talk about the payout structure for missions in Red Dead Online. Basically, the more time you spend, the more money, gold, and XP you'll make. This is quite frustrating, and obviously it makes the game more grindy than it should be, but that's the way Rockstar designed it. Instead of giving you a bonus for completing a mission quickly and efficiently, you're instead rewarded for taking as long as possible. But this doesn't scale linearly here. There is a sweet spot that you should be targeting when it comes to time spent. The sweet spot that I'm talking about here is 12 to 15 minutes. If you can complete a mission in this amount of time, you'll get a guaranteed 32 gold nuggets. Spending 30 plus minutes on a mission will earn you 48 gold nuggets, which is certainly more, but it's not going to be worthwhile for the additional time you take. That's why 12 to 15 minutes is perfect. It gives you the most gold for the least amount of time spent. The optimal gold earning time, if you will. If you want to learn more about Red Dead Online's payout structure and which content you should prioritize, then check out my video on the fastest ways to make gold in Red Dead Online. Roles contain the best content in the entire game. Think of these as professions in a role-playing game, but you don't have to stick with one. If you have the gold, you can buy every single role in Red Dead Online. Currently, we have 5 options. the Bounty Hunter, Collector, Trader, Naturalist, and Moonshiner. Each one costs between 15 to 25 gold bars, and they will unlock access to a wide range of content. As a beginner, you should pick either Bounty Hunter or Collector. Personally, I find Bounty Hunter to be a lot more fun, while Collector is obviously going to be better for making lots of money really fast. As a bounty hunter, you'll be able to track down dangerous criminals and bring them in, dead or alive, for a reward. Bounties range in difficulty from low level to legendary, and you can also take a posse of your friends to assist you with these bounties that involve gangs of criminals. Once you hit rank 12 in the bounty hunter role, you can even go after other players if you want. Collectors are similar to treasure hunters. They go around the map and pick up rare artifacts and various other valuable items, which then can be sold for money. If you find a set of items, they'll fetch a higher price. While this role is quite lucrative, it can get boring fast, so it is important to know what you're getting into with this role. The last 3 roles should be acquired in this order. We have Trader, Moonshiner, and Naturalist. To get the most out of the Trader role, you will need the Naturalist role. And when it comes to the Moonshiner, you can't purchase the Moonshiner unless you're rank 5 or above in Trader or spend extra gold to obtain the Moonshiner role first. Now, I've got a video where I rank every single role in the game from best to worst, so check it out if you're interested in learning more about each role. And with that, I've told you everything you need to know as a beginner in Red Dead Online. It is a massive game with tons of content. Even though Rockstar hasn't really released any major updates in years, it still will probably take you a few weeks to get accustomed to the combat system and roles if you're coming from the single player. But don't worry, we've got an entire community of people who will get you up to speed in no time. You can also find them on my Discord server or in the comments section of my videos. I also release daily updates and news on everything Rockstar games, but mainly GTA Online and Red Dead Online, so don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you'll be notified when I release a new video. I hope my guide inspired you to take your first step into a brand new amazing journey in Red Dead Online, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Adios, amigos.